Hey, welcome to the Coffee with Creators podcast. My name is Balasabas. This is the big one. This is the one that I've been talking about for the last dozen or so episodes here. This is episode 100. And 100, the big 100. We are in the triple digits with our episodes. This is going to wrap up our season 1. This is our first season. It's going to be in the books here right after this episode. And we're going to get into episode 101. And that's going to be the first episode of season 2. And so welcome to the finale of season 1 of the podcast. I'm excited that you are here. I'm so thankful for you, genuinely, truthfully, just thankful for you for being part of this community that's building here on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. It's just really exciting. I am almost, speaking of milestones, I'm getting close to, I'm like a few, maybe 3,000 views away from 1 million views on YouTube, which is insane. It's wild to think that my content on YouTube has been viewed 1 million times. It's just wild. And so I'm also very close. Again, we're just going to continue with milestone talk here. I'm really close to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And so please make sure you go over there, check out the podcast, the tutorials, the content on my YouTube channel, and subscribe. I would love for you to do that. And so that you can be part of the journey to 10,000 subscribers and beyond. All right. And so I'm really excited for you to be here today. First, let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. I want to say thank you to the folks that support us. Right? I've been friends with the folks at StreamYard for a long time. I really do consider a lot of my growth here on YouTube and on the podcast, just in this creator economy, a lot of it, I got to give a lot of props and a lot of credit to StreamYard for supporting that. They've been a supporter of this channel, a sponsor of this channel for a long time. They've helped lots of creators do the same thing and allow creators to build their audience and build their content easily and looking really, really professional as well. And they've just done such a great job. They've fostered community, right, with a lot of creators through their Facebook groups and the things that they're doing. There are different conferences all the time. And I get to see my friends there, Julie and Joanne. It's just really amazing. I love StreamYard. So if you guys are not yet using StreamYard, you got to use StreamYard. All right. If you're wondering what I use StreamYard. I love StreamYard. All right. And they're always pushing new products. My friend Franz from the strategic partnership team, amazing. He's been on this podcast as well. And so you can catch him. I think he's like the early 90s episode, 92, 93, I want to say. Go catch that conversation. Just a bright partnership mind. And so I love StreamYard. All right. Really, really thankful for them and just excited to continue working with them, as we grow this podcast, grow the YouTube channel. And so shout out to the folks that support us, support creators. And so StreamYard, thank you so much for being part of my journey here. I love what you guys are doing. I'm proud to be a partner. I'm proud to be an ambassador for StreamYard. I love what StreamYard does. So make sure you go to the show notes or the description of this video and click the link to StreamYard and start a free trial. All right, start a free trial. Just play around with it. You're going to love it. That's all I'm going to say for now. And also I want to say thank you to Uscreen, uscreen.tv. Talk a lot about memberships. I talk a lot about revenue streams, recurring revenue, and really building a business around your content as a content creator and becoming a professional content creator. Uscreen, full disclosure, is my day job. I'm the head of partnerships and community at Uscreen. I love my job. It's almost not even a job. I love my job. I love Monday mornings. I love getting up and working with these creators in my world and in Uscreen's world and all the influencers. The team is fantastic. Just an awesome culture there. And we are really just for creators. We are here to support creators, work alongside creators, and be on this journey in this creator economy with content creators and really help them build sustainable businesses through memberships. All right. And so go check out Uscreen. You can build your own mobile. We'll build your own mobile and TV apps. You can build your own Netflix and start charging a recurring revenue for your content and building a really loyal following around that. right? And so go check out uscreen.tv for all the information. There's a blog there. There's tons of information. And you can also get a free trial or request a one-on-one demo for free. All right. So make sure you do that. Go to uscreen.tv. All right. And so today's guest, I'm so excited. Our guest today, and it couldn't be a more perfect guest as we round out season 1. I've got my friend Eric Wei, who is one of the co-founders of Karat. He's based in Los Angeles, California. Just a bright guy. Just a really bright guy. I actually had the opportunity to meet up with him in Los Angeles, I want to say a month ago, when I was there for a conference. And we had dinner. And it was just a really good time. I've got a lot of DMs here. We had a really good time and just talk shop for hours there. And then just so many things that you could learn from this guy. I'm just really excited for you guys to meet him. I just had a conversation with him. We just wrapped up our interview about an hour ago. I took a little break, got some dinner, and I thought I would record the intro. And so I had a really good conversation with Eric. He is just doing some big things with creators, building out Karat. He used to work at Instagram before that, and also Facebook as a product manager. And then he was on Wall Street for a little while. And so, man, this guy, what he is doing is amazing. So you're going to learn all about Karat. Okay, you're going to learn all about their podcast. You're going to learn all about the things that they're doing in terms of helping creators with their finances. Not financing, but finances. And that's a very important aspect of, running a business is your finances, taxes, payroll, all of those things. And so Karat is doing an amazing thing around that. So this is going to be a little bit about finances, but it's really about being a creator and a professional creator and what really happens behind the scenes and what some of the guys behind the scenes behind the companies that are building this creator economy and supporting creators in this creator economy, how they think, right? What are they thinking about? What are they worried about? What's the threats that they see for creators out there? But also, what's the opportunities? And you're going to hear some of the thoughts that goes through Eric's mind. It's just going to be really fascinating. I hope it's going to be insightful for you as a content creator, somebody that's looking to build or already maybe is a full-time creator. I hope that this interview will be one where you have some takeaways. And so if you do, please message me. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Send me some of the takeaways that you're learning from this episode. Again, thank you for being part of this podcast. I can't believe this is episode 100. I'm so thankful for you. I am really excited to get into season 2 and all the things that we're going to be planning there and thinking about, our own membership, our own private community. I want to build space for that, for the folks that are here, that are tuning in, so that we can all connect and get to know each other more and support each other as well and just help each other build our businesses. All right. So without further ado, I want you to meet my friend Eric Wei, co-founder of Karat. Hey, Eric. There you go. Warmed up. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for making time. I know you're a busy man and I appreciate you being on here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. And my day just got better because I get to do this with you. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Eric, for the folks out there, for whatever reason, I think a lot of people know Karat already. You guys are doing such an amazing job getting out there with the podcast and the different events and stuff, and sort of this hotbed in LA of creator economy stuff. But for the folks out there that might be new to you and to Karat, can you just, take a couple minutes, a minute, whatever you want, and just tell us a little bit about what is Karat in your own words?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the co-founder of Karat, and we're building a better financial system for creators. And by creators, I mean, of course, anybody who's making a living from content online, which most people think of YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitch streamers, Instagram influencers, but also more so, there are a lot of businesses that once upon a time would have run ads to get distribution. Now they're actually making content. I think Duolingo is a great example of a business that's really leaned into being content first. And this entire quick growing, exploding segment of people and businesses making content, now they're making money, but they have to figure out how to manage their money and finances. And we run into so many creators and creator businesses that don't have the time or context to figure out how to incorporate, how to do their taxes, how to get access to credit, how to set up a business bank account. Plus, when they try and they go to a bank to try and explain what they do, For instance, one of our clients is Alexandra Botez, a top creator who makes 6-7 figures a year, went to Stanford, and she was rejected for a business credit card multiple times because the existing financial system just doesn't know how to make sense of a creator. So we're trying to change that. Our first product is a business credit card that underwrites creators off of their cash flow and their social stats to give them higher limits than a normal card would give them. That also helps them build their personal credit history so that one day when they're applying for a mortgage, other more traditional financial institutions will be able to understand them better through the activity they did with Karat. And we recently launched our second service, which is bookkeeping and taxes, helping creators make sense of their financials and ensuring they're getting the right write-offs applicable to them to save money when they file. The vision, though, is actually to do way more than that. And very similarly to how Square started with one product, processing payments from brick and mortar mom and pop coffee shops, and expanded into 50 gazillion other things like Square Capital, Square Payroll, Cash App. That's what we want to do too.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I mean, finances is so important. You know, like creators now. I was talking to another another brand actually called Creator Pad yesterday, and they were talking about like Luke and Dylan are the co-founders there, and they're saying, you know, a lot of creators have grown much faster than their business acumen, and it's so true. You know, you all of a sudden you're coming across a lot of money and like, oh, taxes. You're like, you know, now you gotta worry about that stuff. So I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. Is there a certain type of creator or a certain level of creator revenue or something where it makes sense for them to, you know, to be partnering with you guys and working with you guys?
Yeah. I always think of it as a creator. There's like 3 or 4 unique problems you go through in your journey. The very first one is just like, how do I make content in the first place? The second one is, now that I make content, how do I find an audience that cares about what I'm doing? The third is, how do I monetize? And after you figure out the content you're making, finding the audience that cares and monetizing, then you start to think about the fourth one where we fit in, which is, how do I scale? And part of scaling involves setting up the systems and processes to manage when money comes in, when money comes out. Do you know how much you're making and spending and doing? Do you know how to hire people as employees or contractors? Do you know how to get access to credit? So to answer your question, Rob, I'd say for the majority of earlier stage creators, they don't need our help, and they should be focusing more on figuring out the content, audience, and monetization side. But if you're a full-time creator who's already succeeding in those first 3 problems, and you're thinking more about how do I establish this as an enterprise, that's where we become helpful. And that's really our segment we look at, which can vary depending on the platform they're on, how many followers they have. But a good rule of thumb, I think you can make a comfortable full-time living on a YouTuber with 100,000 subscribers, right? Or on Instagram, maybe with 300,000, with TikTok with maybe 3 to 5 million, on Twitch with maybe 100,000. It varies, but that's like a super, super high level sense.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Take a step back, like, how did you guys even get into this business? What was your background? You know, were you in finance? Were you in tech? What was your before you know, your run here with Karat? What were you guys doing?
Yeah. So I always, Rob, wanted to do something creative. Growing up, I spent so much time reading books, watching shows, writing little short stories on the side, wanting to act. Even like, you know, I consider like playing video games as part of that. But obviously growing up Asian American and as a child of immigrants, you know, my parents were like, okay, that's like lovely and great, but like, please get a stable job. So I worked really hard, and I was like, okay, these are like things I can do in my spare time. I studied economics at Harvard, and my career started off working in investment banking at Blackstone on Wall Street and doing management consulting at McKinsey. And Rob, I was like, yeah, sure. It's like the stable path. And Rob, one day I was like, oh my God, like, I hate this. This is not what I want to do. And it's not feeding internally what I care about. So I was like, well, how do I get a little bit closer to that? I made a career jump over to technology in California, where I became a product manager at Instagram, where I got to build products for creators. I helped build Instagram Live, Instagram business and creator accounts. And I'm like, this is so much better. I'm so much closer to this entire cohort of people that did go down that path, tried to make something, share it with the world, and support themselves with it. And now I get to help them. And at a certain point, several years in, I'm like, but there's so many problems they have beyond what Instagram is willing to help them with that maybe I can. And my co-founder came from the financial technology side. He has Stanford running his own venture capital fund. We put our heads together and said, why don't we build better financial products and services for creators? And that was really the origin of Karat. And then, it took a few more years and a bunch of failed projects before we finally ended up on the business credit card as our very first launch.
Love that. I love that. What are some unique, as you think through financial services for creators, what are some of the unique things that you're like, okay, this needs to happen for the platforms, because we are serving creators specifically, that maybe the general public out there, they're not really thinking about or is important to them. What have you discovered and learned there?
There's a recent example in the news. There's a streamer. I'm going to get her name slightly wrong. She's a UK streamer. I think her name was Pooper Noodle. It might have been packaging Pooper Noodle. And she streamed publicly about trying to set up a business bank account. And when she was doing so, the bank asked her, you have to categorize what sort of business you are. And she couldn't find literally anything that encapsulated who she is and what she does for a living. And so she picked adult creator, because she was like, well, I'm an adult and I create, not thinking through the not safe for work implications. She's like, I'm an adult creator. So she chose that. She couldn't find anything else that worked. And of course, immediately the bank rejected her.
Right.
Now, let's take a moment. So, first of all, what she does is not something a classically built financial institution even knows what you do for a living. And second, even if she were, you found it. An adult entertainer. Was her name, in fact, Pooper Noodle? Let's see what it was.
It was.
Did I get her name right? It was Pooper Noodle. I remembered it. It wasn't Pooper Noodle.
Good memory. Yeah.
So, first of all, the financial institutions don't understand what she does. And second, even if she truly were, which she isn't, to be clear, if she were a not safe for work content creator, that's still a type of business. And the reason why people don't know banks don't like to work with those types of businesses is because a bank is in the business of floating money around. Right. When you deposit money in a bank, it's actually lending it out 50 gazillion different ways. There's never enough money in a bank if every single person went there and tried to get it back. And so they have to feel reasonably confident when someone's depositing money into their accounts. They have to feel confident that's real money. It's not fraudulent. There's not going to be some sort of manipulated false chargeback. Like, they can go and lend it out. And they're scared of businesses that they don't understand, and they're not incentivized to take the risk and to try and learn. So it makes sense from the banking perspective, but then it just means as creators, you're just going to get shafted. And that's just opening up an account. I'm not even talking about processing payments or getting access to credit.
Right. Interesting. And so with you guys clearly understand creators. And so it makes it easy for you guys to then, verify and have all those processes that traditional banks, just because maybe they're not as progressive in understanding creator economy stuff.
Yeah. With our card that we're launching soon, which also, as I mentioned, builds personal credit, we are originating actual credit to these creators using our own proprietary underwriting model. We're going to population. The normal bank says, this is too risky for me to underwrite because maybe they don't have traditional credit history and FICO built up. And we're saying, we'll take on that risk because we think that they're legitimate, real businesses. And if we do a good job on this, we're going to build the best darn underwriting model in the world. And that becomes a key to unlocking every other financial service that they're going to need one day as they grow as businesses and as people.
I love that. What challenges do you guys see forthcoming, like right now, for creators? As they build their businesses, what are some of the threats, I guess, that a creator should be thinking about as it comes to like finances? And man, there was such a huge uptick in Web3 stuff. I don't know if you guys are playing in that, but as you think of the creators in the next few years, what are some threats to their financial stability? Yeah.
I'm gonna list two different ones. The first one I'm gonna list is more general, and the second is more specific to the times we're in. So regarding the first one, it's still really hard to be a creator.
Yeah.
Because if you think about today, the funnel of I am doing something, and eventually this leads to money. Usually that bottom funnel, how it leads to money historically is you're gonna buy something from me, or I'm gonna do a service for you, and you're gonna give me money for that at scale. As a creator, that means they've always operated in the upper parts of that funnel. It's like, oh, it's lovely and nice that you get to watch video of me like having a great time playing video games. But at a certain point, I got to get you down to that bottom part of the funnel, and there's drop off. And only recently have there been, enough people watching you, such that even with that funnel drop off, they're enough getting to a point where they're going to purchase something or pay you for a service that it makes sense. And number two, there are actually new alternative monetization systems emerging. You mentioned crypto, which is one example, but I'd also just look at, Patreon, right? Like for now, everyone takes subscriptions for granted. Like Patreon does it, Twitch does it, Substack does it. Once upon a time, it was new and revolutionary that Jack and Sam, when they found Patreon, they're like, here's actually a new way for creators to make money because people like what they make and they're just going to pay you because they want to look at it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's still really new. So the first is like omnipresent danger as a creator is your income is so unstable and it's split across 5, 6, 7 different ways. And it's really hard to predict in the future, especially when you're on platforms whose algorithms dictate the reach of your content. What's going to change?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The AdSense revenue and those platform revenues are, I think more and more creators are seeing that that's not the right way to build a sustainable business because it is so fragile, and so dependent on the markets and the algorithms and what YouTube wants to do. I've always been told. I was talking to a creator at VidCon a couple years ago, and they said, yes, YouTube supports creators, but creators are not the number one priority for YouTube. It's the stakeholders, right?
Right.
And so, yes, they do have these monetization and YouTube partner program and things like that. It looks really good. But a creator does need to take control of their revenue. And yeah, you mentioned subscriptions. We, at Uscreen, we're in the membership business, so recurring revenue that you can control. And so, yeah, it's definitely important. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
Well, exactly like what you've built. It's a new way for creators to make money. And having previously worked at Instagram, I'll emphasize both of those points. Number one, we didn't even know how our algorithm worked. I remember essentially a creator once asked me, if I mark myself as a business, does that downrank me in feed? Because on Facebook it does.
Right.
And this kicked off a month-long exploration of my data science team where the conclusion was like, okay, we're not explicitly downranking you, but the layers of machine learning algorithms might be doing so. And number two, your point on YouTube's focus on the stakeholders. Yeah, at Instagram, we were thinking very much about ultimately we have to build for users, regular people. Because if they come, especially young teenagers, if they come and use Instagram, everything else, including creators, will follow. In fact, Instagram not built out strong direct creator monetization for a long time. And it's still a mainstay of the economy because of the creator economy because so many users are there and creators know that they have to be there as well. So in a way, they're also not the focus. Just to reinforce your point on what you mentioned, learning regarding YouTube.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I mean, you get to talk to a lot of creators. You've got the podcast now. You're a creator now too. So, technically you're a creator now, which I love.
So are you as we speak on your podcast live.
Isn't it true? Yeah. So it's so great. Like I love your podcast. You guys have, I'm going to share it on the screen. By the way, if you guys are listening to this on the audio, you're not seeing this on the screen, but yeah, if you catch a video on YouTube or Spotify, there's a video version. You can see some of the things that I'm sharing here, and you can also see what Eric looks like with this jacked, ripped upper body. This podcast is fantastic. You get to talk to a lot of creators, and I find that first, just from a personal standpoint, I love the diversity of the interviews. This is something I am very aware of. I'm Filipino and by birth, and I live in Canada, so I grew up in this North American culture, and so diversity representation is great. You guys have so many diverse creators that you guys have on, just an amazing network that you guys have built here, but also just the real talk conversations that you get to have. So I'm curious, who, I don't know if you can say this, but who are some of your 2 or 3 really most interesting interviews that conversations that you've had with these amazing creators?
Totally. So just regarding even the first point you made on diversity, one of the coolest things about the whole fact it's easier than ever to make content, put it out there and find your following, the gatekeepers have way less power than before, right?
So
Once
true.
upon a time, if you wanted to be known as a creator, you need to be out on movies and radio airwaves. And it was a lot of money to put it out there. So you pick and choose people who you thought would become the next Justin Bieber, right? It's like when the costs to produce and distribute are so high, the reward has to be so high. And then it just ends up being driven by gatekeepers. And what's cool now with YouTube and Instagram and the creator economy is it's so much cheaper. Like we're putting this out. We're not spending millions of dollars on this.
No.
And that in turn increases the diversity of the types of creators you get to see on screen. And that's something we've tried to be cognizant of, just on as you're scrolling through these creators in all ways are not just like from their backgrounds and such, but like the types of content they do, the types of ways that they make money are all extremely different. And this goes to your second point, the interesting conversations. What I'll say, less so in any particular creator, but the number one thing I hear over and over, every creator has a different way of expressing it. And I'll go through examples, 2-3 examples, but they all ultimately express the same point. You have to find a way to motivate yourself making content where you believe in yourself more than just what the algorithm's going to serve you in views the next day. Because if you're so fixated on that, you're going to get killed. And I'm going to list just 3 examples of this off the top of my head. I did one with JT Barnett. JT Barnett literally said the number one thing that determines your success as a creator is your ability and willingness to get punched in the stomach over and over and to be miserable and to tolerate that for a long time. Because a long time you're going to put content out there, it's not going to do well. Right. Stephen He, who you might know from clips going emotional damage. So his version of that, he says, people always look at the guy or the girl who gets the 1 in a million lottery chance and wins, and they envy them. He's like, no. I'd rather be the one who fails 999,999 times, because that person who gets lucky 1 in a million, they don't know they can replicate it. But I know I can keep hitting that if I just am willing to fail for as long as I am. Steezy Kane, when he only had 1,000 subscribers, literally wrote on a piece of paper, I'm going to manifest, I will hit 1 million followers by the end of next year. All of them, there's a common thread. They find their own little ways to express it. You heard even through JT and Steven and Steezy, these differences, it's all under the same theme of, I can't get too caught up in the short-term performance and metrics because that's outside of my control. And I need to find the thing that I believe in that's going to push me to keep going.
Yeah, that's such good advice. It is the long play. Like creators they move fast, but they are patient. Like, in the big scheme of things. That's so interesting to hear that's the through line with the creators that you've spoken to. That's very interesting. Is there any common themes in how they look at the business side of being a creator? Like, I think there's so many aspects. There's the aspect of being creative expression, building an audience. But I'm curious if you're hearing a common theme in the conversations around how they look at the business aspect of being a creator now. They're business people, they're CEOs, they're becoming, they're having team members and staff. Like, is there something that you guys are hearing around that?
Yeah. There's a lot more diversity as a creator, what you do from a business perspective afterwards. As you mentioned, some really think about it as a creative canvas to express themselves. Perhaps one of the best well-known is Emma Chamberlain, who literally in an interview with the New York Times said, I'm the opposite of Mr. Beast because I'm not focused on the business side. Another great example of this is a YouTuber named Anthpo, who recently decided he's leaving YouTube after having gotten over 1.5 million subscribers, chronicling his life with friends, because from a creative perspective, he wants to now live off camera. Now, the other extreme is, the business-focused creators like Mr. Beast, right? People who have entire teams pumping out thumbnails and concepts, and they're building empires. Carter Scherer is another great example, who not only built a YouTube channel, but a collection of channels under him, all following similar themes and similar structures. And then you find a lot of people where they're like somewhere in between, right? They enjoy what they do. Like Alexandra Botes is super smart from a business perspective. And she's aware that content is the lifeblood that drives it all. So for her, it's about thinking through the intersection when content's important, what's the content she wants to make? What's the content that's going to do well? And finding the middle ground in between, because she gets to still have some creative expression, but she still gets to power the lifeblood that keeps all the other pieces of her business empire going. So I will say in that piece, you actually do find a wide diversity and array of options.
That's so good. So good. You're very well read. I feel like you're very on like you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening with the creator economy. I'm curious, what is your weekly consumption of content? Are you a big YouTube guy? Like, do you watch a lot of videos? Do you listen to podcasts? Like, how do you keep up with what's happening? Like, there's so much happening.
Yeah, I think what really helps is I'm a YouTube kid, right? We're finally coming across the generations where many of us who grew up watching content now get to do business around it too. And so just for fun, I watch a lot of YouTube. I am on TikTok and Instagram and Twitch. I spend a lot of time, and simply just by sitting there and just watching, really, as a fan, like, you learn to pick up a lot of what's going on. So I say that's the number one thing that's really helpful. The second thing is, and then there are certain YouTube channels where they do inform you on what's going on. So of course there's the classics like Colin and Samir, Tejas Holur, and John Yushai.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also channels like Moist Critical or Ludwig. They have their own basically daily news channels where they talk about what's happening in the creator economy. That's the second. The third one is there's always a number of different like print sources. So Tube Filter, Business Insider, they're always writing things. Taylor Rent's Washington Post, even New York Times. Any average day you open it up, you'll find something, right? And LinkedIn too. There's a lot of things that go on there in terms of people sharing and what's going on. And so yeah, between the three of us, just me watching as a normal person, me watching channels specifically talk about it, and then consuming a lot of the written articles about it, you get a good sense of it. And yeah, I think it comes down to the end of the day, this is the sort of thing you have to like actually care. Like for me, the reason why I do care is deep down, I always wanted to be a creator. I wish that I had pushed myself more to explore the creative route. And I'm happy with what I did. I don't think I would have been ready. And I'm just considering myself lucky that I get to be a part of this world today and support the people who did. And because of that, it's not work for me. It's fun to just get to learn and study everything that's going on and think about it and be like, how does this change what I think we should do?
Right. Love that. Those are really good sources. Yeah, I'm always just really curious because I do see you on LinkedIn all the time, and you've always got really interesting perspectives, and you're sharing things that I'm like, oh, I actually didn't catch that yet. You shared this one thing about, I forget the name of the creator, but she had replicated herself as an AI, and then
Cutie Karen.
Cutie Karen. Yeah. I'm like, how is Eric so on the pulse of everything all the time? So it's just very impressive to me.
I think that the tactical part, so the first part is what I kind of just said, which is I just like, this is my life and I love it. The second part, the tactical thing, is I've learned to carve away. LinkedIn, it used to take me longer, but at this point, if I just have like a 30-minute block, I know I'll just go online, or I'll have something in my head that I know I want to write about. If I already roughly know, it'll take me 15 minutes to go sit and bang it out. But if I don't, then I just like go to all the sources I said, and there's always something that's like interesting and worth sharing. And then it's just building the discipline and habit. Like I have a rule, I post on LinkedIn every single work day. I allow myself to skip Saturdays and Sundays. Yep. But on LinkedIn, I try and post every day, and I try and reuse content as much as possible. So for example, for this, right, I'm also recording via camera here on my side and audio. And depending what you've recorded on your side, like we can clip it up later, and like that becomes content that we can re-syndicate across different platforms as well. Absolutely.
Give us a little glimpse of your founder life. Are you working like crazy hours? You seem like you're very balanced in terms of like when I saw you in LA, with your personal time and things like that. And, but yeah, give me a little sort of glimpse. Are you that typical founder, hardcore workaholic right now and grinding it out, as you guys build this thing, or are you being more time blocking?
I think of my time and focuses. Most of the time, I actually don't know what I'm doing. That's the honest truth.
Hey, that's honest. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and so there's a portion of things that I know we need to do. For example, as I mentioned, we're launching this new card that builds personal credit. It's a really big transition. And in fact, frankly, it probably hurts us in the short term because we have to go to a creator and say, we're going to reissue your cards. But we're doing it because we know it's the right thing long term. I want to build a better financial product for these creators, right? And then there's the second bucket of things where it's not like, here's something I know I need to do, I need to go do it. It's more just like, I just need to carve away the time and space to figure out in the first place, should we do it? And I think a great example is even deciding to launch the podcast last year. Like that's a strategic decision, right? If you're going to do it well. Yeah. And that's actually when my co-founder realized the potential around, where he was like, hey, we should think about what's Karat's content strategy. And the top upper funnel of that is building awareness and trust. And hey, you have a lot of relationships with creators. Maybe there's a way where you can help scale that. And that's a strategic decision that just required both of us to carve away time, which at least to my third point, I really try. And there's a few things in my life every single day that I will not let myself not do. So as a great example, I have a physical workout routine where I'm like, multiple times a week, if I don't get that in, like I have to, like, I don't care if it's 3 a.m. in the morning, I have to do it. precisely because by maintaining these singular points of stability, everything else is always in flux. Everything is in motion. Every other part of the day can be totally all over the place, and I don't even know what's going to happen. Especially working with creators who might just text you in a hot second and something came up. But if I can hold on to one thing, there's a few things. I work out. I try and see friends every week. I play pickleball every Saturday at 3 p.m. I do therapy. I do co-founder therapy. There's a few rituals that I've learned to base my life around that I think help maintain that sanity and stability.
It grounds you. It's somewhere
Yes.
that's routine amongst all the chaos and just unpredictability almost of just everything else that's happening, as you know, in this
That's
stage
right.
of life. Right. That's exciting. What motivates you? Is it the business driving revenue? Is it, you know, reach? Like what? I mean, something
Sure.
completely different. But like, what motivates you and gets you excited about building Carrot?
From a business perspective, we think this is an entirely continual trend where more people in business are going to make content.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to figure out their business needs. We want to become the one-stop shop that's touching every single dollar moving around the creator economy.
Mm.
And very tactically, that means, yeah, we're building for $1 billion outcome. We know it's really risky and it's really hard and unlikely, but it's still what we want to do. From a personal perspective, as I mentioned before, growing up on YouTube, working with these creators, I always think about, hey, how do I want to express myself and how do I want to create? And in a way, like getting to do Carrot is one version, one medium of expression there because I am making something, right? And then there are so many smaller opportunities I find within Carrot to continue creating, such as this podcast right now. This is something that we're now making that we can look back at after and be like, this was made. This was done by us. This was done by us together. And I think from a personal side, continuing to be in an environment where I get to express and make, that's what makes me happy.
Right. I love that. Um, this is really insightful. I mean, you know,
Thank you.
I know I've known Carrot. I've, you know, consumed the podcast. I met you in LA. It's exciting to kind of see. I mean, I'm sure you guys, of course, have competitors, but do you see like traditional banks as competitors, or do you see sort of more like other more progressive type of
Yeah.
startups like yourself in this financial space as competitors? Like, what do you kind of see there?
Totally. There's two things I'll say to that.
Yeah.
The first one is I see your primary competitor not as another specific company, but as fear and ignorance.
Mm.
The number one thing that stops a creator onboarding onto Carrot is not, oh, should I consider Carrot versus these 15 other things? It's, why do I need to do this at all?
Right. I'm fine. Right. Yeah.
There's so many things to think about from a content perspective to grow my business. And is this going to help me there? Do I need to do this? I've worked with creators, Rob, they haven't paid taxes for years,
I can
right?
believe it.
They
I
don't
believe it.
know any of these things. And so that leads directly to my second point. I view it as we're all in the same boat together. If the creator economy continues to grow and do well, frankly, we all succeed. And if it doesn't, we're all screwed. I mean, if it doesn't, we'll all just be rearranging deck chairs around on the Titanic. Like it doesn't really matter who's quote unquote competing against who. We're kind of
Right.
in this together.
Totally. Yeah. It is so new. The creator economy is so new, and I think there's these pillar. I'm for me anyway. This is kind of what I see. There's these pillar companies that are sort of reinventing and helping really shape where this creator economy is going. It's so new, right? I mean, there's obviously the talent agencies that's helping creators look at themselves as businesses. You know, there's the Jelly Smacks of the world and things like
Right.
that. I also see you guys. I mean, the economy and the finance and the how you handle the money and how you handle that is also very important. I feel like you guys are sort of leading the charge in that, is like the place for creators to do all of their finances, which is really
Thank you.
exciting, and it's really cool to watch how you guys are doing that. What is the future of Carrot? Like, what, you know, you mentioned Stripe as sort of like one of the things that you mentioned there is like similar to them, but multiple platforms, multiple products. You guys are
Yeah.
launching your second product now. I think handling all the dollars or all the money that goes through the economy is like, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, that's the vision, because creators, they're so busy that we realized you have to build things out product by product. You can't just launch with 50 things and be like, figure it out. I'll say also many previously successful financial technology startups have followed a playbook like this as well, where again, I mentioned Square before too, and Square started with just a payments processor. And now, then eventually they launched Square Capital. Hey, we
Square
process your
Capital.
payments. We know the nature of your business. Maybe you need a capital infusion. Then they have Square Up, which is like payroll and bookkeeping tools. Then they have Cash
Yeah.
App, which is peer-to-peer payments. But all of this was layered over the course of a decade.
Right. Right.
And we look back on it and we say, well, Square is just everything, or Block rather, now that it's called. But no,
Right.
it took time. So for us, yeah, we have the business credit card that also builds personal credit. We have the bookkeeping taxes service that helps you save money. There's a whole bunch of things we're figuring out next. We're talking to our users, right? Maybe it's bank accounts or faster payments, or there's like 50 gazillion different things. But we're going to make sure we get these first two right before we go and expand. That's how the way we like to sequence things.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been really good, Eric. I think you guys
Yeah.
are onto some huge things here. I'm excited to see where you guys go with it. Could you just invite the folks out here that are listening, whether it's something that would be a good fit for them to check out Karat, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So check us out on Instagram. Our handle is at TryKarat. That's TRY, try, and Karat, Karat. And that's Karat spelled like 24K carat diamonds, not like what bunnies like to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's probably one of our main presences. You can also find us on our website at www.trykarat.com, spelled the same way, TRYKARAT.com. And finally, if you want to chat with me personally, I am very responsive on Instagram. My personal Instagram is at Eric T. Wei, and that's spelled ERIC for Eric, T is in Tom, and then WAY. So Eric T. Wei is where if you send me a DM, I promise I'll see it and I'll try my best to reply.
I love it. I love it. Well, Eric, thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome talking to you. And I know you're going to be at VidCon, right? I believe.
You know it, Rob. I look forward. If you're going to be there too, let's hang out.
Hey, this is the end of episode 100 of the podcast, the Coffee with Creators podcast, with myself as the host, Rob Balasabas. I have had a blast this first season, these first 100 episodes. We've done more episodes. Only 100 have been published though, so there are definitely more, but I have just thoroughly enjoyed every single episode, all the conversations that I've had with, influencers and creators and all of different industry professionals. It's just been such a blast. I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 2. I hope you are as well. While we're here, housekeeping. I would love for you guys to, if you have enjoyed this podcast in any way, please leave a review, whether it's an Apple or Google or, whatever podcasting platform, Spotify. Just give us a review or feedback or a rating. And that really just helps get this podcast to more people like yourself and helps build out this community even more. The more the merrier, right? And so thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed yourself so far. We got some exciting things planned, and I can't wait to see you in season 2. The thumbnails are going to change a little bit. There's been a bit of redesign. I'm going to be, if you head over to Instagram perhaps, or LinkedIn or Facebook, my Facebook page, you'll see some of these designs, and I hope that you can give me some input on what you think of these new thumbnails, which one works, which one you like, which one you don't like, all that stuff. This is a conversation, and I really do want to build this publicly, build this podcast, this community publicly, and so I will share all those things. That's what you'll learn from me. As I do share, and I want to hear feedback, and I want to get your input, and then we're going to continue to build. Then I'm going to get your feedback. I want your input, apply that again to the next stage. And that's really what I want to do. So I want to build this with you. And so, please don't be a stranger. Message, reach out, DM, right? Comment, all that stuff. I appreciate that a lot. All right. That's like the best thing for me. So, thank you again for being part of this podcast so far. 100 episodes in the books, in the can. looking forward to next 100. All right. God bless you guys. I'm so thankful for you guys. And I hope that you're getting value out of this in some way, and hope it's blessing you in some way with your business, just with your personal life, with your community. That's what we're here for. All right. God bless you guys. And I'll see you in season 2. Take care.